Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to the Boise Metro Chamber's Metro Minute series, your quick guide to business impact. I'm Tori Thomas, Community and Government Affairs Manager here at the Chamber, and your host for today's event. The Boise Metro Chamber is Idaho's only five-star accredited chamber, representing nearly 2,000 members. Our events and educational content are only possible thanks to our members' investment into their community. Before introducing our speakers today, I'd like to thank Hawley Troxell for their generous support. Please enjoy this quick video from our sponsor.
I'm Tom Mortel, co-managing partner of Hawley Troxell. Our firm is proud to be the sponsor of the Boise Metro Chamber's Metro Minute. In the 6 communities we serve throughout Idaho and eastern Washington, we have the pleasure of providing legal services to great companies, large and small. Similar to the Chamber, we represent companies from Main Street businesses to some of the largest corporations in our area. We appreciate the opportunity to advocate on their behalf as a part of the Chamber's advocacy program and to further the Chamber's efforts to advocate on behalf of its members. Welcome to the Metro Minute. Please enjoy today's presentation.
So for today's episode, we are going to focus on the upcoming primary election on May 20th. We'll have more information on that on our blog, but today we're going to specifically talk about the Greater Boise Auditorium District Board. So for those who might not be familiar, the Auditorium District is a local government entity focused on promoting tourism and economic development in our area. And so in this year's election, we'll vote on 2 candidates that will join the Auditorium District Board. The board and its members play a really big role in shaping the future of downtown and the development and just how we support tourism and business growth in Boise. So I'm really excited to share that we're joined by the candidates running for the Auditorium District, Sophie Sestero, Aimee, Tylor, and incumbent Jim Walker. So as I do some quick bios for each of them, we'll bring them on screen and we'll share we'll ask a couple questions about them and what they're running for. So Sophie Sestero is a small business owner and communications professional with more than a decade of experience in destination marketing and tourism, specifically promoting Boise to travelers across the country. She owns and leads Lunation Communications, a boutique firm serving businesses and organizations across the state. A 4th-generation Idahoan and lifelong Boisean, Sophie is proud of her deep local roots and is committed to ensuring that tourism dollars both drive economic growth and enhance the quality of life for the people who call Boise home. Thanks so much for being here, Sophie. Jim Walker is a longtime Boise firefighter, union leader, and civic volunteer who has served the community for over 25 years, most recently as the chair of the Greater Boise Auditorium District Board. A Boise native and Leadership Boise graduate, he brings a deep commitment to thoughtful economic development, from leading the Boise Center expansion to championing the ICCU Aquatic Center. Whether serving on the fire line, supporting youth programs, or restoring historic homes with his wife, he's proud to invest in projects that strengthen Boise's future while also honoring its past. Thanks so much for being here, Jim. And last but not least, Aimee Tylor is a hospitality leader with more than 2 decades of experience managing top hotel brands and shaping successful convention and tourism initiatives. Now general manager of the Residence Inn on Capitol Boulevard, she previously helped open the Grove Hotel and served on an auditorium district in Washington, where she played a key role in launching a new convention center. Since returning to Boise in 2015, Tylor has combined her deep industry expertise with a passion for empowering teams and elevating the guest experience in Idaho's growing tourism economy. Thank you for being here, Aimee, as well. Welcome. Let's chat. Let's have a couple. I'm going to ask you guys a few questions about why you're running, and we'll go from there. So we'll start off. This is a question for all the panelists. I would love for you to describe the role of the Auditorium District and then why you feel it's so important for our community. So, Aimee, we'll start with you.
You want me to describe the role and why I think it's important? Is that correct?
Yes, that would be great.
Perfect. So the role of the auditorium district as a whole is to simply drive tourism and economic development, and that can come in many shapes and forms. A lot of what has been done to date by the auditorium district has been brick and mortar buildings. So starting with the convention center, and then the addition to the convention center, and then the addition of the aquatic center. And one of the things that we haven't talked much about at this point is that the auditorium district also funds the marketing of Boise as a destination. And so it brings that tourism and that economic impact into downtown Boise, or I should say into Boise, downtown Boise with the convention center, East Boise with the aquatics facility. And so the role of the auditorium district board is to help drive that as a where do we put funds, what's the important measure, and what's next.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And then Jim, would you mind sharing as well?
You bet. So one of the things I like to tell people about the auditorium district is that we're one of those rare public entities that doesn't take a dime in property tax, but we are integral in fueling Boise's economic engine. And we do that by reinvesting hotel and vacation room rental taxes into projects that'll bring more people and more events, more opportunity to the city, from conventions to meetings to major swim meets. The district helps drive tourism, business growth, and community infrastructure. In short, what we do is put heads in beds so that we can collect more revenue, and so the city and the district can build on these bigger ideas.
Awesome. Thank you. And Sophie.
Well, I'll just build on what's already been shared. I know that GBAD's charter allows it to build, operate, maintain, market, and manage spaces that promote tourism. But the conversation I've been having with people a lot recently is, but as a local, why do I care about tourism? And just like Jim said, it's so powerful to have that 5% hotel tax because it's money that's coming in from outside of the state and allows us to reinvest it into the community. And if we want to put numbers to that, especially with a business mindset, tourism is one of the top economic drivers in the state of Idaho. But in the greater Boise area specifically, just in 2023, it produced $2.4 billion in revenue for Southwest Idaho. It's 13,000 jobs in Ada County. And more than that, when people come into market, they are making reservations at local restaurants. They're shopping at local retailers, and they're making sure that we can build a future for the district, not just have a visitor pop in and leave and not offer anything for locals.
Thank you all so much. I do agree. I think tourism is so important. And to your point, Sophie, it is like, why would you care necessarily as a local? But it's so exciting when you get to tell somebody visiting, like, oh, you should definitely go to this restaurant, or you should definitely go check out the, whatever it is. It's so fun to be able to share that. And then in response to that, we'll see that benefit in the long run. So, well, thank you all for answering that first question. Jim, we're going to center on you for a second, since you've served on the board already, currently do. What's one accomplishment that you're proud of? And then what unfinished work would you like to see continued or started if you are reelected?
I think the thing that I'm most proud of is helping to lead the Boise Center expansion when I was serving as the chair of the district, the chair of the board. That it was such a complex project. It brought together all these different entities if you think about the Clearwater building and that space that was just a parking lot before, and then the area between US Bank and the Grove Hotel, we had to bring all the stakeholders together, the property owners, the city, CCDC. And we did that. We used our bonding capacity wisely so we could preserve our capital for future projects. And then we delivered a facility that met our operational needs, but it opened the doors to host conventions and meetings that we previously wouldn't have considered Boise. And at that point, the district hadn't built anything since 1990. We changed that, but I don't feel like I'm done. With our strong bonding power and a capital account that is fairly flush, I want to help build the next wave of tourism infrastructure, and especially the type of meeting space that will meet the growing demands within Boise, so we can compete for those events that we're still not, those events and conventions that we've been missing. That sums it up. What I'm proud of and what I would like to continue to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for your service thus far. We were just talking in our team meeting this morning, just how grateful we are for Boise Center and how much business we do with them. We host a lot of events, and a bigger Boise Center would be appreciated from the Chamber's eyes as well. So lots of opportunities for the district going forward, and just as our city grows. So well, then jumping over to Sophie and Aimee. Sophie, we'll start with you and then jump over to Aimee. But what inspired you to run for the Auditorium District? And then what perspective or experience would you bring if you were elected?
Sure. Thank you. Well, especially for this question, I want to say, I think for too long, races like this municipal election go uncontested. And I was really grateful to see a full slate of candidates this year, because I think everyone who is running cares deeply about the region. So just grateful to everyone for being here and throwing your name in the ring. The reason I chose to run is I have a long history of working in tourism and destination marketing. As you mentioned within our bios, I am a communications professional by trade, and for the vast majority of my career, I've gotten to work with destinations like Visit Boise, like the Idaho Wine Commission, and other regions around the country to talk about what drives meeting planners, what drives tourism and leisure media to visit the market and talk about it, and make sure that it's not just a place where you go to book a convention, but truly a destination where you want to spend your time. You want to extend your weekend. You want to bring a significant other with you when you travel. And getting to do that and tell the story of Boise has been a privilege, because it's my hometown and because it has grown into something that is so special. In that work, I've also gotten to understand the tourism ecosystem, knowing the partnerships that really make a destination come to life, and some of the special attributes that the greater Boise area has, where we get to call up a neighbor and put our heads together to solve an issue, instead of being like other destinations where they're really territorial about how that sort of collaboration can work. I think those partnerships are going to be really important to maintain and enhance as the destination continues to grow and attract more attention. But that partnership, that ability to build partnerships, is so critical. And finally, I know that GBAD is at a pivotal point, like Jim said, where they're looking at the next big project. They're already starting a feasibility study to ask what's possible and what's going to be best for the region. And as a Boise lifer, I'm invested in leaving a legacy for this region that will continue to grow and be something that we could be proud of, instead of leaving money in the bank or crafting something that doesn't serve both locals and visitors alike.
Thank you so much. Aimee? You're on mute.
Okay, am I on? There we go.
You're
So he
good.
unmuted. Okay, so I think the first thing is to just share how much I appreciate the people that have come before us. I was charged with writing a white paper in 1995 when I was a member of the opening team of the Grove Hotel. And at that time, the general manager wanted to know the history and how the convention center, the CVB, had in the Auditorium District had come about, and what the mission and the objective was. So in 1995, as a young, fresh out of college adult, I spent time learning why a district, why the Auditorium District, and what was the original vision. And so from that time, I worked in the hospitality industry then, I still do now. So it's been about 35 years since I started. And just as I have gone, my husband and I were traveled around the United States while he did his military service, which was shortly after. So we left here in 2005. And during that time, I was able to see cities that we currently compete against and some cities that we don't, and watch the way that they collected and spent similar monies, some great, some not so great. And one thing remained consistent throughout is that Boise was a model of which other cities and other destinations followed. Some of the ways that we promote Boise as a destination, and the fact that a lot of times when we're talking about Boise as a destination, we have to, first of all, convince people that Boise is awesome. So nowadays, now 30 years later, they've come to see things about Boise. And a lot of times when we're traveling nationally or internationally, the first thing that we get is the blue turf, and then some of the things that follow after that. But as I saw and learned a lot about how those convention centers, those districts work, I actually participate in the forming of a tourism promotion area in Tacoma, Washington, that now has an annual collection of about 8 million, which at the time seemed just like an enormous amount of money, and it still does. To returning to Boise in 2015 when my husband retired from the military, to see just the changes in the structure of the convention center with the addition that was about to happen, the Convention and Visitors Bureau with the complete realignment of the way that funding works, and see that if we're not taking steps to have a voice in the future of Boise, then who is? And so that's what motivated me to get involved this year, is that as one of the hoteliers that's been largely responsible for collecting the tax for the last, gosh, 4 or 5 decades now, it's important for us to have a voice, and to talk about what could impact future tourism. I think I bring a unique perspective in this particular crowd, that I've worked in this industry for all of my adult life, and seen some really great examples of what we can do. And it's more than just building a building. It's talking about the future of tourism and the economic impacts that that can have and does have. I think you can't walk through downtown Boise today without seeing the impact of tourism, and what a great place Boise is.
Great. Thank you so much. I agree with that. I think it's, I've been here since I was 2, so I claim native. And it's just been really amazing to see just all the work that's being done and all the people that are involved. It's, it's community, but it's also the city. It's also boards like the Auditorium District. It's just such a big effort, and it's amazing to see everyone that cares so much. And so we appreciate all of your desires to be a part of that as well. So as we close out, just one more question for all of you. We'll start with Jim. What's one thing you'd like voters to remember about you as they fill out their ballots next week?
I'm a 5th generation Idahoan. I love this community. I spent 12 years on this board, 26 years serving the community as a firefighter. And I still show up to every board meeting with the enthusiasm I had from day one. I still want to add and give back to this community. But one thing that I've learned is that I know better than to chase shiny objects. We get a lot of project ideas that come before the board, and I've learned how to separate the shiny objects from those projects that will bring a return to the community. So if you want someone who knows how to move big things across the finish line without wasting our time or money, I'd appreciate your vote.
Awesome. Aimee?
There we go. Okay, so for me, I think I'm not a politician. I never have been, and so there are times that I find myself stumbling for the right words to say, what's in my heart and what's in my head. And so I just think that if I was to leave you with one thing, that the future of tourism, and And what we do with it, it's no longer a build it, they will come. It is a participatory, experiential based industry. We're the third largest revenue generator in the state of Idaho, behind only agriculture and technology. And that's when, when you say that, it really puts it into perspective. The tourism is only third to agriculture, which everybody seems to be, that is driving everything in the state of Idaho, and technology that's so hot right now. And so that having somebody that has 35 years of history in tourism, understanding the trends and what's happening. If that's something that you find valuable, and it's a participation field and some knowledge that I think that together. I guess one last thing for me is transparency is king, and everything that we do in the future we have to be talking to the stakeholders at every step, and it's more than just putting out there, this is what we're going to do. It is about having an engagement plan where we're working at every step with every stakeholder to make sure that everything we do is above board and very transparent. So 35 years of history, and knowing that that's important is something that I will bring to the board.
Great. Thank you. And Sophie.
Thanks, Tori. The piece that I would want to leave voters with is that this election matters. I know that it's a short ballot. We're in May. The county clerk's office is projecting about a 7% turnout for this election, which is not high, but it's certainly something that makes a difference. And GBAD is at a pivotal time. I think Cody Lund at the Boise Center would tell you that they're bumping up against some capacity issues. They're having to turn away events and conventions because they don't have the right dates or enough space. They're working really creatively with hotels to make sure that there's enough room blocks spread out across the city to make sure that they can accommodate. There's money in the bank that GBAD has collected from that 5% hotel tax over the years. And they're already taking steps to make some data-driven decisions about what's going to drive more tourism and make sure that we get those heads in bed so that we're fueling future growth for the region. But I think a guiding principle that money spent by visitors should return value to the people who live here, through as well as visitors, right? Through those spaces, experiences, and opportunities that strengthen our community overall. The other piece that I would add to that, we'll make it two parts, is that this district will only be successful as its partnerships. Jim mentioned CCDC, the Chamber, Visit Boise, Southwest Idaho Tourism Association, Idaho Travel, or Visit Idaho. All of those partners and public-private partnerships I'm not even thinking of off the top of my head need to be able to thrive for any project to get across the finish line. And I think having somebody with a community mindset that's going to bring people to the table and make sure that we're finding alignment is critical as this moves forward.
Thank you for that, Sophie. Well, with that, we really appreciate your time. Thank you all so much for your dedication and love for our city. We really appreciate you all and appreciate all the work that you do for our communities already. Thank you so much to our viewers for tuning in. Thank you to our sponsor, Hawley Troxell, as well as our media partners, Idaho Ed News, Idaho Capital Sun, and Idaho Press. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you vote. May 20th, early voting is open. And yeah, your voice matters, and we really appreciate all of you in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.